Thank you all for being here despite the intermittent rain showers. I'd say about 100 or so of your fellow reunion participants did not, or have not yet, managed to brave the potential rain to join you because they had said they were planning to be here. But you know, we're just going with the flow. And so the reason I'm here is for those of you in the class of 66, and you're looking at your schedule and you see that photograph at 5:45 at the Alumni Center. And we do take that outside. There's really nowhere inside to put enough of you to make a good photo. So if you've been watching the rain, it comes and goes and goes and comes. And we are going to try to take the photo at 5:45, just like planned. So please do come over. And we will not make you stand in the rain, though. So if it is actually raining at that time, we are going to postpone it 24 hours, which will be just basically at the start of your banquet tomorrow night. But we're hoping we just get it in today like scheduled. So if you'll just come over there after this is over, and we will see what happens, and then we will go from there. With that, I know you're in for a fantastic session. I'm handing the microphone to Mr. Parker. All right.
Thank you. Was that for me or for her? I'll give you a gift and be very brief. The sessions that I've attended so far and that are coming up tomorrow have basically set a context for what I hope we're going to do next. We've talked about the university and its accolades and its achievements and funding and the diversity and just the great elements of this wonderful university. What we hope to achieve in this next presentation is to give you a picture or a touch, see, and feel of where the rubber kind of has hit or is hitting the road. And that's the students and the faculty that make all of this go. It's kind of crassly put the product of this great institution. To steal Stephen's metaphor, it's the gas in the tank. And the tank is everything I just discussed. The fuel and the ignition happens with the interaction between the students and the faculty that really creates stuff. We don't all get to see this. If we've had kids here, maybe we've seen it up close a little bit. If you've done things here, I've been fortunate to be involved with the Entrepreneurship program for about 10 years, and that's where I've seen it. It's exciting, it's fantastic. And it covers the gamut of the departments in the College of Arts and Sciences. So we've got 5 presentations this afternoon that we hope you will find as exciting as I think they are. And we hope we can build on this in the future because it really shows you in a touchable way what's happening here, which is, I don't think, like anywhere else. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Teri Rhodes, who will be your MC. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks a lot. Well,
It's on.
okay, I've got 2 now. Whoops. Oh, wait a minute. Go this way. Hello, everybody. Is this the right one? There we go. Thank you, Jeff, for engaging your classmates with this, our innovative faculty and student presentation. These are faculty and students from the College of Arts and Sciences, and thank you for your leadership on the Dean's Working Group for the minor in Entrepreneurship. The college and we're all just delighted about being a part of your reunion weekend. I want to welcome everyone back very warmly to this 50th anniversary. I'm sure it's hard to believe for you, and I hope it will just be a fabulous weekend for you. We're very excited about welcoming you back with commencement weekend activities, and we want to thank you for your support of the College of Arts and Sciences and the university. So I am the Senior Associate Dean for Fine Arts and Humanities. I'm a music professor and have been here on the faculty for almost 30 years. It's hard for me to believe that. It's been a real honor and privilege, and I work along with our terrific new dean, Kevin Guskowitz, whom I believe you met earlier in the day. We are just very thrilled about his leadership. He's been in this role now for about 4 months, and he really hit the ground running, and he's talked a lot about his important goals of strategic thinking, bold thinking, and student-focused thinking. And we agree with him and want your help in pursuing that. I'm also going to just say it's been a pleasure for me. I had been working with him, and Kevin's been on our faculty for over 20 years, and we also had been senior associate deans together. He's great. He's really going to be terrific for the college and the university. I just, before we begin, want to share a few points of pride about where we are as a university. We're proud to be a top 5 public, according to the 2016 U.S. News & World Report, once again, and we're equally as proud to be the best buy in higher education, according to Kiplinger's, a ranking we've held for the past 15 years now. That's really something. This year we set another record for first-year applications. For the 11th year in a row, we're up 12% over last year. And these incoming students will spend their first 2 years in the college, with more than 75% of them graduating with degrees from the College of Arts and Sciences. So we really are the heart and soul of the university. Carolina students have the opportunity to develop and grow while they're here. They learn and study and conduct research with our world-renowned faculties. Many of these scholars, this is really important, that our world-renowned faculty are in the classroom teaching and working with our students, and you're going to see examples of that with all 5 presentations today. And these represent 5 of more than 70 academic departments, interdisciplinary curricula centers, and other programs within the College of Arts and Sciences. We also, of course, have leading and outstanding graduate programs within that group. And we have disciplines that rank in the top 25 throughout the country, and I'll just name a few: sociology, history, political science, psychology, classics, philosophy, religious studies, chemistry, English, statistics, computer science. I mean, the list does go on. We are really have some outstanding faculty. And as you know, our Carolina students are incredible. So spring is award seasons, and as always, our Carolina students have done well in these nationally competitive awards. We had 1 Churchill Scholar, 1 Carnegie Junior Fellow, 1 Goldwater Scholar, 2 Gates Cambridge Scholars, 2 Schwartzman Scholars, 3 Weir Fellows. I mean, all of these students had 1 or more majors or minors in the College of Arts and Sciences. And our faculty are recipients of numerous teaching awards and other honors, and one really important one that came to us this year was awarded to Mike Crimmins in our chemistry department. He was actually Senior Associate Dean of Natural Sciences and Math several years ago, and the Board of Governors has just selected him as its 2016 awardee for excellence in teaching. And let me tell you about that award. Every campus in the 17-school UNC system honors 1 faculty member. Mike was ours, and he was the one who was chosen from the overall system. So we're really excited about that. He's a distinguished professor of chemistry, executive director of the Chancellor's Science Scholars, housed in the college, and he really has done a lot of work with rethinking teaching and has helped us in terms of the way we move forward in that way. And now you're going to have the opportunity to learn more about the very diverse programs and departments in the college that represents our 4 areas of focus. I mentioned my area, fine arts and humanities. I mentioned natural sciences and mathematics, where Mike Crimmins was and where Kevin was before he became dean. We also have the social sciences and global studies, and we have undergraduate education. But today, very exciting. I know I've heard from a lot of these folks already, and you are in for a treat. We're going to start up first with Rich Mclaughlin, who's the chair of our Department of Math. He's joined by Ian Seam, current research assistant and data analytics expert for the department and member of the class of 2014. Come on up.
So thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I'm not exactly sure which button I pushed to advance. There it is. Okay.
Whoop. Oh, Teri, are you okay?
I'm fine. I was trying to pull the chair out.
Let's move this. This table is very close to the...
I'm good. I've had multiple. Let me go back this way. Nope, I can do it. I'm good. I'm fine. Just didn't see the back.
It's sort of set up on the... It's set up a little precariously there. All good?
Yep.
Okay. So my name is Rich Mclaughlin. I will introduce Ian Syme, who has been working on aspects of the Virtual Lung Project. I'll just tell you a little bit about this project. So the lung serves to bring oxygen into our bodies, but as we breathe, we inhale airborne contaminants, bacteria, dust, stuff that we have to filter to prevent infection. And the lung serves, the secondary function is to trap that stuff through a pretty complicated biophysics interaction. And that's what the Virtual Lung Project is about, is trying to understand how the lung functions as a filtering mechanism and what happens when it doesn't work. So this started as a collaboration with a bunch of people listed here. Really came out of the Cystic Fibrosis Center at University of North Carolina, where they're doing fundamental research, treating patients with this disease, which somehow stops the ability of the lung to function properly in its filtering capacity. So this is started with a group of scientists from physics, chemistry, biology, computer science, and mathematics, all coming together to try to understand how to model this complicated living system. And the basic setup is the surface airway tissue of the lung is coated with little hairs, cilia. They're about 10 microns long, a couple hundred nanometers in cross-section. There's many of them, and they sort of beat in a way that seems like it's trying to propel fluid. The lung also grows a layer, a complex fluid layer that's, the top is a mucus layer that's very sticky, that as you breathe in, the particles and bacteria get stuck to it, and then the cilia somehow push the stuff out and you swallow you pull the debris out of your system. In cystic fibrosis, somehow this transport mechanism breaks down, and a big property that we want to understand is how it breaks down. And so it's a very complicated biosystem with many different features to it, some of which are summarized here in these layers, in this picture of the kind of the side view of what the ciliary periciliary layer looks like. It's got a little thin watery layer that's capped by a thicker mucus layer, and that thing somehow biologically sets itself up and grows itself and maintains itself. It's fascinating stuff. When this thing doesn't work, you have other mechanisms of transport, which are cough. So as you cough, you actually build little waves, and shown on the left slide here, left part of this slide, are some of these waves that we've been modeling in the fluids lab, which is on the right side. You might wonder, what's a fluids lab with a wave tank got to do with waves on in the lung? Well, when air blows over water or viscous fluid or mucus, it makes wavy patterns that expose more of the surface to that wind, and it enhances transport. So another aspect of what we're doing is trying to model these types of processes. And as I was mentioning, things can go wrong. So in cystic fibrosis, somehow the mucus becomes very thick, and it can't transport, the hairs in the lung can't transport things. And so understanding how that thickness, where that's coming from, is something that Ian's directly involved with. And so I want to try to bring it over to him. And Ian Syme's going to tell you a little bit about what he's been doing in his research. I should say one thing, that at Carolina, one of the most amazing things we have going for us is undergraduate research. I've been in a lot of places, and I've never seen as much undergraduate research as goes on here. Lots of exciting stuff happens with undergraduates working on real research, and thanks to people like Jim Laludis, who runs the honors program, a lot of very good honors theses come out of this undergraduate research. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ian.
Hello. So my name is Ian. I graduated in 2014, and I've been working with an applied math professor, Greg Forrest, since then. So we look at properties of mucus that have to do with how particles move through the mucus, how they diffuse. And we do this using experiments called microbead rheology experiments. And one really interesting aspect about this is that we are collaborating with a really large clinical trial called ARREST-CF, which includes all of the babies and infants in Australia that have cystic fibrosis are enrolled from birth. And samples are collected from them, sent to us, and they are analyzed in the Marsico Lung Institute. And me and Greg and the group work on fitting mathematical models to these experiments. So I'm going to tell you a bit about how these actually work. Okay, so the types of samples we get are called BAL samples, which stands for Bronchial Airway Lavage. So essentially salt water is injected into lungs and sucked back out, and the hope is that you are sampling kind of the deepest airways from people with cystic fibrosis, where the most pathological mucus is found. So these are collected, sent over to us from Australia, and a bunch of tiny microbeads, around 200 nanometers to a micron in diameter, are mixed into this sample. They rotate for a long time to kind of to try to get all the way into the samples, because these are mixtures of salt water and thicker stuff, so it takes a while to get in there. Then they're imaged, so we just take videos of how these little beads diffuse thermally. So don't really do anything to it, you just kind of let them sit and watch what happens. And then we do analysis based on these video files. So in this figure labeled A, we have 4 different particle paths. So this is, for example, you have a bead stuck in some mucus and you take a video of how it thermally diffuses. So the lower numbers here, so the numbers next to these paths here represent the thickness of the mucus. So the lower the number, the thinner the mucus. So intuitively you can kind of think, if you have a thin mucus sample, things are going to move further, right? And the thicker you get, the more constrained things are to be in a small region. So you can kind of see the particle paths there get smaller and smaller as you get more pathological. A way that people have typically looked at how far beads move is the statistic called mean square displacement, where essentially you just look at different time intervals, how far has it moved from where it started, and you just square that number. So it's the displacement squared, and you take the mean over a bunch of different particle paths. So you see on the right side, these are corresponding mean squared displacement curves for different weight percents of mucus. So it kind of tells the same story. The thinner the mucus is, the more you're able to move. The thicker you get, the less you're able to move. So what we have done is develop a mathematical model to describe the mean squared displacement, which you can see down there as d times time raised to the alpha. So a big problem that people have had with doing these types of experiments in the past is that you need to have a bunch of particle paths and average over all of them to get meaningful results. But the experiments that we have deal with a really dilute sample, so there's kind of a big range of paths you can see for one sample. So it's important to be able to pick apart heterogeneity in the particle paths, so you can kind of see more fine-grained what's going on with these samples. So what we've done is develop different mathematical tools that are able to track each individual path and kind of give you information for single paths rather than the ensemble. So you get more of a fine-grained approach there. And a remarkable thing that we found is that, so we have a way to harvest mucus from lung culture cells, and you can kind of tune these to different states of pathology. So you have thick to thin, and these are the colored circles up here. They kind of lie along this really nice linear relationship based on the model we use. And we found that the clinical samples from the arrest study lie in the same region. So by comparing these things together, we can kind of see how sick really, really young patients are, how pathological their mucus is, and the hope is that this is going to be a really effective diagnostic tool for people that there's not really any other way to see what's going on with them since they're, maybe 0, 1 years old. All right. Anybody have any questions? So the patients are already in a hospital for complications, and yeah, it's just a salt water squirted into the lungs and then sucked back out. Yes?
Why do you go all the way to Australia to get the samples?
We don't have to go to Australia. They get sent over to us, but it's just a collaboration that's developed between people in Australia and people in the Marsica Lung Institute here.
So play it out for us. What would, not just be the end result, how did you get there? What would you hope to have? Then with end result, how does that happen?
Hold on, we're going to make this live so we can hear.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't really hear what you said.
So play it out for us. The end result, I guess, would be maybe to find the cure, but how does that happen? What do you hope to do with this to get you to the end result?
So the hope here is that this is an innovative diagnostic tool for real people, and the hope is that we can kind of personalize treatment from a really young age to so their life, they have a better quality of life because they have a more personalized treatment plan. It's not really about finding a cure at this point. It's more about diagnosing what's going on with babies and infants, because you can't ask them how they're doing, right? And you can't get them to do this, the normal type of lung function test. So the hope is a diagnostic tool.
I'd just add one thing, that the bigger picture for the virtual lung is to try to understand what's breaking down, what the mechanisms for the mucus becoming too thick to be able to be effective at transporting. Once that's understood, then we can start to think about what needs to be done to create cures.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to let Teri carefully take that mic. Do not walk backwards, please.
I'll do better. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. What important work. Thank you very much. Yes, somebody may need that. Thank you both. Next, we have Glenn Walters, Director of the Environmental Sciences and Engineering Design Center in the UNC Gillings School of Public Health, and Adam Quintanilla, a PhD student in chemistry and co-president of MacNet, UNC Student Makers Association. They're going to talk to you about our exciting new Be a Maker space, BEAM. You've seen those around campus in Murray Hall, and for which Glenn provided the primary design input, as well as identifying and purchasing the materials that you're going to be seeing today. So thank you. And here's the clicker. And
Thank you. Hi, everybody. We're going to talk about
Okay,
something.
wait, you need a mic.
Oh, I got it.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about something fun now. This is something fun and exciting, and we think is something that's fundamentally going to transform the way that education is delivered here at UNC. And I think it will transform the way education is done worldwide. BEAM is Be a Maker. It is the makerspace network here at UNC Chapel Hill. And the subtitle of this talk is Making Science, Entrepreneurship, and the Transformation of the University. We're rebels. What is making? Well, I'm going to give you a quick definition of making. Is just what it sounds like. Making is where you basically take things, you have an idea, and you convert them into other things. Making can be something as simple as knitting or sewing or drawing, or as complex as design and machining a complex piece of research apparatus. It's where mind meets matter, It's where ideas actually take form and are realized. Just to give you a little bit of history, my job, and I'm not in arts and sciences, but they do pay a little bit of my salary. I design and build research instrumentation for a living here on the campus. I have clients all over campus, including the Cystic Fibrosis Institute, in physics, chemistry, medical school. And my job, when I get to do my job, is a lot of fun. It is designing things, coming up with ideas, and trying to find ways to make those become realities for people. A group of people spontaneously got together about 3 years ago from all over campus. There were about 10 of us initially. And we said there needs to be a place on this campus for students, faculty, and staff to come and be able to do stuff. It sounds like a novel idea at a university, but it's not. It goes back to, say, 400 or 500 years ago, where that's what you had to do research. But there's a huge gap, a huge need in this country. Students aren't getting hands-on activities to the extent they need to in K through 12. I'm sure that all of you remember having industrial arts and or home economics. I had it all throughout middle school and benefited greatly, but our schools aren't doing that. So we are getting undergrads that have never made anything. It's that bad. Can you address that, Adam?
It's pretty accurate.
It's pretty accurate. So making is a spontaneous, this movement, the maker movement, is a spontaneous response to the shift by society away from manual arts. It really started taking form in Europe, but it's going strong here, and it's resulted in the formation of maker spaces, a space where people get together, share resources, teach each other how to make things. It's resulted in publications. We have this very popular Make magazine, I'm sure many of you have seen. It's just this need to get back to basics, to learn how to do stuff with our hands. So here at UNC, those of us that gathered together to talk about this, we said, there needs to be this type of resource here on campus. We have a couple of shops like mine that do things for people, but we really need people to be able to do things for themselves. And we need to be able to tie that tightly to UNC's goals and needs. So, here we've listed it as a student, questioning, where can I grow and launch my career? Where am I going to go for my undergraduate education that's going to fully round me? And increasingly, students are looking for institutions that have these opportunities. Faculty and researchers, obviously, they need to be able to make things for their research or have them made. But when we're recruiting faculty, increasingly they're looking for places where they can get great students that are in this type of culture of innovation, that have that missing element, that ability to build the physical manifestation of the ideas that they're coming up with. So the overall vision is that we would have not just a makerspace, not just one place, but a network on this campus that is comparable to the library system or the rec center, the athletics facilities. This is something that addresses a fundamental need of all of us as humans, that need for a creative outlet. And so we see this as something that will be insidious, that we infiltrate every area of the campus. And so far, in 3 years, we've been phenomenally successful because this has really struck a chord with the chancellor, and Kevin Guskowitz has been a huge advocate of this, and we've had a lot of support across the institution. Right now, we have a facility in the basement of the Haynes Art Center that's been open since August. There's the makerspace in the Keenan Science Library that offers 3D printing services and workshops in electronics and sewing and other things like that. And I guess if you took the tour, you've seen our new space, the Beam Makerspace in Murray Hall, which is a state-of-the-art facility, about 3,000 square feet, that is going to open fully in the fall of 2016. So before I talk about mission and vision overall, I just think I'd like Adam to talk a little bit about the importance of what we've done and the importance of being able to go somewhere to make stuff here on campus.
Thanks, Glenn. Oh, okay. Yeah, so Glenn kind of touched on the vision and all that's going on here, but I kind of want to give a perspective of how it's going to look for students already and in the future. So as was mentioned earlier, I'm a graduate student in chemistry, and I guess the way I see it, oh, and I'm also president of the Maker Group. So I see it in 3 different ways. For me, is on a professional level, I'm really excited for this because being a grad student in a lab that's constantly trying out new things, being able to make something myself is a lot cheaper and more of a learning activity than it would be to outsource making a piece of equipment. A quick example of something that I needed to make a box that could house a light for UV irradiation. I tried to outsource that out, and it was going to be an astronomical price. It was around the same time that I heard that we were bringing up a makerspace slowly but surely, and I could probably do that a lot cheaper. So from a professional point of view, it's really great because I can make my own materials, but also I think it's a bit of a, it's bigger on lifelong learning. These are skills that I'm going to use not just in my research right now, but skills that will make me attractive candidates for jobs in the future, as well as just being able to do things on my own as opposed to working with others. And from a little bit more of a personal perspective, as president of a maker group, we wanted a really great space to make things in, and with Murray having just opened, that's actually really great for us.
So overall, our goal all along is for this to be a model program, and we are. Makerspaces exist in this country at universities, but primarily at engineering schools, at schools that have engineering programs. We do not have an official engineering school here. We have a couple of engineering departments, and at schools with design departments. But our goal has been that this has to be pervasive. This has to bring people together from every discipline, and we've worked hard over the last 3 years to bring people together from virtually every department on campus, and from the medical side of campus as well. As a result, the makerspace that you see at Murray Hall is the first state-of-the-art makerspace that we're aware of at a liberal arts institution. And as far as we know, no other institution has gone to the extent that we have to make this pervasive across programs. So some of our missions and goals are to support learning. We have been hosting courses, and not just the obvious ones, not just courses in chemistry and physics where they have an obvious making component, but we've had biology classes come in and do activities in the space, make things. English classes. I mean, the relevance across the arts and humanities is just phenomenal. Dramatic arts is obvious, art is obvious, but English, the social sciences, there are things that can be done physically that truly enhance the learning opportunities. And we are pushing that very hard, and we are hoping to host as many as 5 full-time classes in the makerspace during the morning hours. Research, Adam's touched on that, but this has obvious applicability to research activities. This is the missing link in many cases. We've lost shop facilities on campus due to budget, and this is really the best way to get students in tune with their ability to make their own resources. Entrepreneurship, I mean, this is a pretty obvious one to me. This is the missing part, a place to create prototypes. That is always the missing element whenever we start talking about entrepreneurship and things. Student life. Residential life here on campus has already made plans to have maker carts in all of their freshman dorms starting in the fall, and we will be installing a 3,000 square foot maker space over here in Carmichael Hall for fall 2017. So they've embraced this, they've grabbed on it, and this is just the beginning for them. It's just a map showing our current locations in Haynes, Murray Hall, and Keenan Science Library. Moorhead Planetarium will be opening a small maker space for the public. And then there's my facility, which is more of a fee-for-service type facility. It's just the beginning. Murray Hall, that's just a few shots from there. In the floor plan, 3,000 square feet. When we went into this, I said it needs to be 15,000 square feet. 3,000 square feet is the appetizer. When we eventually build the Integrated Physical Sciences building, we have been pushing that the entire ground floor, the entire first floor of that building needs to be this type of space. It needs to be highly visible. It needs to be a very high traffic environment so that we get this interaction of people across disciplines and we actually see things happening. So that's our talk. Any questions?
You know, I think we're going to have to hold the questions till everyone presents and then ask questions at the end, if that's okay, Glenn.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Glenn and Adam. Wonderful. Yeah, you can just put it right there. You know, the Arts and Sciences Foundation Board received a sneak preview of Murray Hall and Be a Maker Space just a few weeks ago. I was there. It is truly awesome. It is incredible. So once it's up and fully running in the fall, the next time you're back, we'd love for you to come and take a tour. Next, it's my privilege and honor to introduce my colleague in the music department, Professor Alan Anderson, and another kind of maker, a composer, one of our Keenan music scholars, Ethan Swafford, class of 2019. Welcome.
Hello. Yes, I am Alan Anderson, and like Ethan, I'm a composer. You'll see up on the screen right now a picture of the interior of Hill Hall. I'm curious to know if anyone in the audience in your time at UNC played in an orchestra, played in the marching band, took a class in music, may have attended a concert right through those doors in the back of the hall. Anybody who did that? Well, I want to tell you now about, like the previous speakers, about making, but to start, about something that is being made right now. That picture that you see is actually already out of date. It looks brand new, but at this moment, the Hill Hall is being renovated, and coming this fall, if everything goes to schedule, we will have a state-of-the-art concert hall, including, as of 2016, air conditioning, as well as good sound. So I'll look forward to that. In music, innovation and research have always been associated with creativity. Within our undergraduate program, we find that the students are involved in scholarship, creation, innovation broadly. In scholarship, for example, I'm thinking of a student who's graduating in a couple of days, Mason Allen, who wrote his honors thesis, a scholarly one, working with my colleague, the country music scholar Jocelyn Neal. His study was on structural properties and form in, I don't know, maybe 100 recent successful country music songs. Now, while scholarship in and of itself is valuable, and certainly universities exist because of that, in this case, Mr. Allen is planning to go on, as soon as he graduates, to Nashville, hoping to become a songwriter there. So this study will lead directly into his professional work. Likewise, in performance, where, as Teri knows well, as a performing musician, the performer is always thinking new, how to shape the music, keeping true to what's given, but finding new ways to present it. Interestingly, we're finding in music these days that the young students are thinking more broadly than in the past about what would constitute a recital. So, for example, we find more and more that it won't be exclusively classical music, as our department has largely been in its history, but more broadly, including jazz. Of course, jazz has had a presence at UNC for at least 30 years now, if not longer. But a performance might include classical repertoire, jazz repertoire, as well as music that the students themselves have composed. Just this year, a few weeks ago, one of Ethan's colleagues gave a jazz recital in which he had written a suite of original music alongside other jazz compositions. Likewise, another undergraduate completed an entire album of jazz music this year. Brings me to Ethan. My interest as a composer is in classical music, and I would say, though he's a very broad-minded young man, we can probably define his work as composition, as classical composition as well. What's interesting about UNC, of course, is that the music department is in fact a department. It's not a school of music. So the expectation among the undergraduates here is that they are looking at a lot of material broadly across the university. What Ethan's going to tell you is about the ways that other study has influenced his musical composition. So I'm going to pass this over to Ethan now. Including in this, we will have, he will play a recent piece of his. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm so glad to be able to be here and speak to you guys. Congratulations on coming back here and everything. So, as a composer and aspiring scientist and philosopher, I spend a lot of time thinking about causality, or how things cause each other. You know, how material grows and evolves in music, and how material grows and evolves in the universe. And so in this particular piece, I envision it as the final movement, the fourth and final movement, to a piece for two pianos that sort of models or represents a possible solution to a problem first proposed by physicist John Wheeler called the law without law problem. It has to do with causality. I won't get into it now, but I'd like to just make you aware of it. So speaking to this movement in particular, you will hear a theme that goes roughly something like bum ba da or bum ba da 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 dum bum bum ba da 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 dum bum, and it will be sort of confronted and surrounded by a growing number of musical layers that will sort of mold it over the course of the piece. And so this representation of the piece that you'll hear now, or this performance, will be done by a very virtuosic computer program that was kind enough to come in here and play for us today. Yeah. So I was going to say, I'll motion to you throughout the piece certain transition moments to sort of keep you in the flow of the music as it progresses. Thank you again. And you can play. about 20 seconds or so, but you got the idea. It was a pleasure to make. It really is a really rewarding process to write music. And I'm so happy to be able to do it here at UNC.
Bravo. Ethan, I have to tell you, I so look forward to the next 3. He's just a first-year student, so look at what he's done already. Very talented coming in, I know that, but just great work this year, so congratulations. And thank you both. Ethan is a real example of the way students can just do anything here at Carolina. Thank you both for sharing that. Next, we have the opportunity to learn more about our honors program, Honors Carolina program here in the College of Arts and Sciences with Associate Dean for Honors, Jim Laludis, and his student, Sadia Ingawa, hope I pronounced that correctly, who was in the program, a Fralick Fellow and a member of the class of 2017.
Great, thanks, Teri. I'm sure you feel as I do at this moment. Just, I'm always dazzled on occasions like this when I have an opportunity to get just a small sampling of the remarkable work that my colleagues and these fabulous students are doing here at Carolina. You see this and you understand that those of us who are fortunate enough to be on the faculty or the staff here, we do have the best jobs one could ever imagine. The chancellor's not here, so I'll say sometimes I'm amazed that I'm paid to do it, but never enough, right? I'm going to resist the urge to tell you all about Honors Carolina, but instead, I hope you recognize our logo. It's been around for a while. If you'd like to advertise it, we have ways for you to do that. We also have not only the logo, but the tagline, right? And you can't read it from there, I'm sure, but it's Honors Carolina, come here, go anywhere. And that's not just a tagline, it's a promise, it's a commitment we make to students when we invite them to accept their admissions offer to Carolina and to join Honors Carolina, that if they come here and they make the most of all that this fabulous university has to offer, all that Honors Carolina has to offer here on this campus and in our programs that literally wrap around the world, that they will leave here at the end of 4 years truly prepared to go anywhere, to chase their dreams and their passions, their aspirations wherever they may lead. And I think in some ways there's probably no better embodiment of that idea, that commitment, that promise than the Fralick Fellowship. It is named to celebrate the life and the memory of Will Fralick, a young man who was headed to Carolina, but we lost him much too early in life. This fellowship celebrates his memory and his remarkably adventurous spirit. This fellowship's a little unusual. We offer it to students like Sadia, and you're going to see why here in a minute. We offered her this fellowship. Students, exceptional students we know belong here at Carolina, and we know will make this a richer and more vibrant place. And it's a bit unusual in that it, in a way, sort of offers them a line of credit for 4 years. It's a monetary award that they can draw on one time or many times, in full or in part, over their 4 years, to go off and pursue a project with a focus that they are passionate about. So it is not us trying to sit here and imagine wonderful things for students to do, but instead to say to students like Sadia, what excites you? What are you passionate about? Go out in the world and do it. And the only requirement is that they come back and they share what they have done with us and this whole campus community. So with that, I'm going to stop and I'm going to let you hear a bit about Sadia Ngawa's fabulous Fralick experience pursuing her passionate interest in health and healthcare in Panama.
Thank you, Dean Laludis. So I am a health policy and management major here. I'm a rising senior, and last spring I had the opportunity to travel to Panama on a medical service trip. And so I did this through a nonprofit organization called Global Medical Training, and basically they empower students with pre-health interests to go and use their programs and their structure to travel to global communities and experience the healthcare in that global setting. And so what we did in Panama was we set up free clinics in some of the most low income and medically disadvantaged communities surrounding Panama City. And the Fralick Fellowship allowed me to do this because it helped me cover the program fee through GMT, which pays for our lodging expenses, transportation costs between clinics, as well as the medications that doctors were prescribing to the patients, because everything is free to our patients. And so the fellowship was instrumental in covering those expenses. And as volunteers, the students from UNC, what we did was we served as assistants for local Panamanian doctors there. And we learned how to properly interview patients, how to take medical histories, how to present medical cases to these doctors. And we had 4 clinic days, which generally ran from about 8 a.m. to 5 or 6 p.m., depending when our last patient left. And in those 4 days, we were able to see over 3,500 patients, which was a record for the organization at the time. And so in these slides, I've just included some photos of the patient interactions, and it was really an extraordinary experience in that we saw patients of all ages, from newborn children to people who brought their great-great-grandparents, and we saw a lot of different medical conditions and illnesses, and kind of got an idea of the different diseases that were endemic in this region. And so that was really great for providing a global perspective of how different populations suffer from different disorders. And I wish I could share with you all the different anecdotes and stories from the patients that we met, but if I did, we would be here all day. They were an incredible group of people in that they faced so much adversity, especially since these were low-income communities, and yet they had this amazingly positive outlook on life, and it was just amazing for me and for my fellow students to see that. And so we kind of just interacted with the children. It was a lot of fun to be able to, during our breaks, play soccer with them and things like that. But overall, this fellowship experience really helped me develop a lot of personal skills. They trained us in taking vital signs, in listening to heart sounds, breathing sounds, to be able to distinguish when things were normal and when things were not. And then, of course, our supervising physicians always kind of helped guide us in those endeavors. And so I also was really able to kind of improve my ability to speak Spanish in a clinical setting, which was really great. We had translators for the first couple clinics, and then by the final clinic, we were able to interact with our patients, and we were able to interact with the physicians, many of whom didn't speak English, without a translator. And I thought that was a really great indicator of our progress just in that short time period. And it really translates into my work here at Carolina as well. I volunteer in the pediatric hematology and oncology clinic here at UNC Hospitals. And when I came back, I really noticed this increase in confidence in my ability to speak Spanish and interact with our Spanish-speaking patients in clinic, which was something I was not able to do before. And so after this experience, it was really great in my work here as well. And overall, the fellowship experience, it reinforced my desires to go into medicine and also to get involved in the aspects of medicine that go on behind the scenes, the policy work, the advocacy, things of that nature. And so I'm currently studying health policy and management with the goal of being involved with global health in my career. And so I have still some funds in the Fralick Fellowship remaining, and so I will be using that to help fund an internship experience this summer with UNC Hospitals doing quality work. And I'm really excited to kind of see how things work in established practices and how we can adapt those to work in global settings, and also look at global settings to see how we can adapt those practices to improve things here. And so, I mean, I just want to thank the Fralick family and Honors Carolina and all the donors who made this possible, because even though this Panama experience only lasted a week, the interactions that I had here, the people that I met, are continuing to impact where I'm directing my studies, my future fellowship experiences, and ultimately what I hope to do in the future career-wise. So, thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Sadia. What an impressive young scholar, young woman. I look forward to hearing more about the work you're going to do. And Jim.
This is the company we keep on a daily basis.
Yeah, exactly. I so agree with Jim. And thank you, Jim, for being a wonderful leader of this Honors Carolina program, which has just grown and is one of the gems in our crown in the college. I'd also say just the work that you're hearing from Sadia and the kind of work going on in Honors Carolina, experiential learning, study abroad, we are working to grow those kinds of experiences. Right now, we're doing well as a university. We have over 30% of our students who do study abroad programs. We're working to increase that number to over 50 and to keep moving, especially for a public university. We're doing really great work in that way, but thank you so much. And last, we are joined by, let me get this right, our final presentation coming from the minor in entrepreneurship with Charles Merritt, who's our executive director of that program. And he's going to be joined by Senior Thomas Duchin, I hope I'm saying that correctly, who is the founder of a company called Communigift. We'll hear more about it.
Thank you, Terry. Ooh, it's a very live mic. My name is Charles Merritt. I am the Executive Director of the Minor in Entrepreneurship. I was realizing quickly that you guys graduated 50 years ago, and I graduated 25 years ago, and he's graduating tomorrow. So 25 years from now, he might be here doing what I'm doing, and maybe I'll be out in the audience looking on and saying, gosh, these guys are doing some cool stuff. So the minor in entrepreneurship is a minor. We are not a major. We ride alongside our colleagues who teach in arts and sciences and other programs and departments here at UNC, and we love that. We believe in the liberal arts. We think that a liberal arts education is important, but coming alongside that, we also think that the ability to learn how to be a problem solver, to think like an entrepreneur, is really valuable. In an environment today where we think we may be training students for jobs that don't exist yet, that could be really, really useful. So we rest and live in the Department of Economics, and that's our home. And they've been an important partner for us, but we partner with Keenan Flagler. We work with other professional schools, media and journalism, and that will continue to expand. This multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary approach to education is really where higher education is going, and you've heard some of the remarkable things that we're doing here. We've partnered with Beam. We had an economics class, an honors seminar, actually, so we've partnered in two places right here to teach about design, and so we used the makerspace to have students actually design prototypes. It was an incredibly valuable teaching tool. So that's a little bit about the minor. I want to very quickly turn it over to Thomas, and I will tell a quick story. So a lot of what we do, again, I'm not a PhD, I'm not a traditional academic. I merely have an MBA and was really in the business world before becoming what I call a pretend academic. You've heard from real academics. But a lot of the privilege we get is we get to have meetings with students who have ideas. They have some project that they're working on. It may be in the classroom, it may be outside of the classroom. So Thomas sent me an email. We went over and met with he and his partners at the Carolina Inn, and I heard about this idea and frankly asked a lot of questions and said, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to make money? Do you want to do good things? Do you want to turn this into something real? Is this just a project? And here you're going to see the result, and that was 3+ years ago. They've done a lot of work, and they've done amazing things with Communigift. So I'm going to leave that story to Thomas and let him take the stage.
I appreciate that so much, and thank you all for coming out today and sticking around for the 5th and final presentation. I'll do my best to entertain. So I figured I would tell you all a little bit about what we're doing and then transition kind of into the role that UNC played and then get you all out of here for your 5:45 picture. So I'm Thomas Duchin. I'm a senior graduating Sunday, sadly enough, and I'm one of the co-founders at Communigift. So we've all seen kids' birthday parties, right? And we think the model is somewhat broken. Let's say you're a guest, right? You receive an invitation, and then 3 weeks later, on the day of a party, you're rushing to the store to buy an item that you know will oftentimes be opened once and then played with once or twice before ending up in a closet. We think that model is broken, and it's happening 18 million times a year in the United States. As a result of this, we're telling kids at 6, 7, 8 years old that feeling special is rooted in an excess amount of presents they neither desire nor really need. At CommuniGift, we think birthdays can look different. We think birthdays can be an opportunity for 8-year-old Lucas to decide, instead of receiving 25 Nerf footballs for the 7th year in a row, to help a child like Omar, who's never had birthday gifts. So with that in mind, we built CommuniGift. And so this screenshot is going to be hard to see, but stick with me as I kind of explain the process and how it works. So let's say you were invited to Simone's 3rd birthday party. You would come and visit Simone's CommuniGift birthday page. In the top left, you'd be able to actually RSVP to the party and let Simone's parents know if you can make it and leave a comment. Then you could actually go over and read about the birthday buddy that Simone selected. So that's a child from one of our nonprofit partners that's never had birthday gifts and oftentimes lacks new shoes, backpacks, books, and clothing. And you can actually buy an item in honor of Simone's birthday for Simone's birthday buddy to make sure that person has a really special birthday as well. So instead of just one birthday now, Simone is making sure 2, 3, 4 more people have birthdays they've never had before. So we built this summer and launched it out in LA actually. It had some awesome traction recently. So that kind of chart is what we're talking about, number of birthdays each month. But we've had some great press in LA Parent, NPR, and on TechCrunch. So we work with some awesome nonprofit partners that kind of facilitate the giving. So anywhere from huge national partners like Salvation Army to hyper local partners within each city. And they help us kind of find these children in need or the birthday buddies and facilitate the giving to those kids. Here's our founding team. 4 of those, the top 3, all UNC kids. The middle guy, Zach, was our first hire. He was class of 2015. The 3 of us up top are graduating on Sunday. And these are 2 moms that are doing a lot of work for us. So we're really, really excited. There's $4.5 billion spent on kids' birthday gifts each year, and we want to bring a whole new meaning to that. So I'm looking back and thinking what our first days were like. I think this conversation started the end of our freshman year in Horton Residence Hall here on South Campus, right? And we had this big idea of online giving could be better, birthdays could be better, we can make giving more meaningful, we can make it more convenient. And I think the first email I sent was to Judith Cohen, if you all have come across Judith, and I said, Judith, we have this big idea. And she goes, okay, let's grab a coffee and let's talk about it. And then soon after that was Charles. And soon after that was Ted Zoller. And so I think from day one we were told, look, no idea is too big to tackle, right? Go aim. I think UNC does an incredible job of showing you the problems in the world and exposing you to a variety of need and then telling you have the tools to go and solve those problems. And for us, CommuniGift has been the perfect anecdote kind of to that mission and value of UNC. And so I don't think we could have done what we've done. We still have a long way to go, but anywhere else besides the University of North Carolina. And to have classes that were fostering our growth where we could work on these projects, where we had some of the best minds in the startup world and the impact world coming and speaking was immensely valuable. And so I think one place where I will always love UNC is just this idea that UNC wants to be on the forefront of this. And UNC wants 15, 20, 25 companies that are making the world a better place coming out of each graduating class. And I think that's a really special thing. And we're lucky to have some of the best minds involved like Charles that are doing that for us. So thank you for the time, and I'll be around after.
Thank you all so much. I would love to say we've got 3 minutes. So if anyone has one question for someone that can be answered in 3 minutes, that'd be terrific. Then you want to go over, the sun is, I think, shining. It's not raining right now. So for the class photo at 5:45. But I hope that you'll be able to talk to some people afterwards as well. Teri, thank you.
Yeah, oh, my pleasure. My
Okay,
goodness.
I see one hand over here. Let me get to him.
Where is Thomas? Where did he go? To think that, he's such an example of dreaming a big dream, a great idea, get off the ground, and to be able to leave Carolina having launched a successful and sustainable business is really impressive. We do have these kinds of students. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be here at this university, and we're all in a line, aren't we? I'm an alum, as is Jim, thinking back to those years of the late 70s for Jim and me. I just want to thank all of you for your time today. Appreciate you allowing us the opportunity to share some of a small part of what happens over and over each day across the college and the university. And I see there's a question. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm one of the initiators of the hackerspace in Durham. And one aspect of our Splat space, and one thing that we ran into was we started as a hackerspace and became a makerspace because of the connotations that the press has generated for hackers versus crackers. And just guard against the press. And the second point is to the music, the Hill Hall. One of my classmates remarked to me, all these new buildings on campus, like Hill Hall. My mother took courses in Hill Hall. So you're doing the right thing in making it more popular and available. Thank you.
Thank you. We're thrilled about that.
One more right here.
Quick question for the Make It program from personal experience. Universities are often reluctant to fund a program that in many respects sits and waits to be needed. And researchers, investigators are rarely aware that they need something made until they need it made yesterday, and therefore very rarely include funding for making it into their grants. How are you working with investigators and the university to maintain funding for this excellent program?
That's an awesome question. And I'm very aware of that issue because I run a facility that's for fee, so I live that every day. Right now, we are under the umbrella of the Applied Physical Sciences, the Department of Applied Physical Sciences, and Applied Physical Sciences is picking up the bill for virtually everything that's happening right now. We have a great team of people, again, from around campus who have been working on a financial model, a sustainable financial model, for about the last year and a half. We could talk about that for hours, but it is a complex issue, and it will challenge the university to look at this in a very different way. The university has very fixed ways that they like to do money, and we are challenging them to look at us differently. So it will be a hybrid model, hopefully of student fees, endowment money, money from the teaching funds, because we'll be hosting classes, research money being paid, for materials or services, and potentially outside money, sponsorships. So yeah, it's a big issue. It's been talked about and thought about a lot, and you have a lot of people here that are very familiar with that problem. So yeah, we're dealing with it.
Okay.
I think your product is wonderful. The word business implies some production that would require you to make money. How are you doing that?
Yeah, so very quickly, we're actually really excited to kind of be at the intersection of what we hope can be like impact and generating returns. We think that we can make the biggest difference if we can run a business that's self-sustainable and can grow on its own. And so we actually have relationships with our retail partners. So when you go out and you buy that gift and it ships to the nonprofit, we're making some money from the retailer there. So we're excited about that, can invest that back in the business, grow the platform, make more hires, expand to new markets, and hopefully drive more gifts to these kids.
Great. Okay. I think I will be killed if I do not get you over there to have your photo taken at 5:45. So I hate to cut this short. Teri, thank you so much.
Thanks,
all the
everybody.
students and faculty.
And I'll see you at commencement on the field.
Belong.